All right, welcome into Highmark Stadium. Getting ready for the Section 6 Class B championship between Western New York Maritime Health Sciences and the Iroquois Chiefs. Teams with two different pass offensive attacks going at it, different strengths for sure. A rematch of last year's final that ended in overtime on a 2-point conversion. Maritime getting the better of Iroquois for their second straight Class B title. Falcons now looking for their 3 in a row. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are looking for revenge. Joined by Tim Chifa, Frank Wolf, Kyrie Demos. Guys, what are you looking forward to most in this game?
And we talked a little bit about it in the first game of the day, a clash of styles. I mean, this is the ultimate clash of styles. We've got, on the Iroquois side, we talked about Trey Kleitz, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in Western New York. He's 2 passing touchdowns away from setting a new sectional record in terms of single season touchdown passes versus a Maritime team that rushed for 500 yards last week and did not even throw the ball. Didn't even throw the ball. Damian Littleton rushed for over 300 yards last week as well. So, it's really going to be who is going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. We talked about how the weather impacted things in game 1. With things being a little bit calmer now, how do you think that'll play into things, Tim?
Yeah, one of the things I'm most excited about is you talk about teams wanting to be hitting on all cylinders when it comes to playoff time.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's hard to be hotter than undefeated, right? However, you look at Western New York Maritime, and they battle tested themselves early for this game, right? They scheduled themselves again. Bennett and Canisius, the first 2 weeks of the game, took it on the chin, both those games, right? But then they've rattled off 8 wins since then, right? And the reason that they scheduled those games against the bigger schools, the AA, and then Canisius, obviously the powerhouse, is to be prepared for this type of game today. And I don't think you can get a much more exciting type of game when you mention you go into a playoff game and don't throw the ball, and then you watch an Iroquois game and it's almost like you're watching a Madden game.
Right.
I mean they have more receivers on the field than I had on my entire team when I was in high school.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be one of the, an exciting football game. And I'm looking forward to see what style comes out on top.
So last spring, these two teams met at John B. Wiley, and I don't think too many outside observers gave Iroquois a chance. Let's be honest. This Maritime team just plays on a different level. They have premier football players. Addison Copeland, one of the top players in the area, no question about it. I don't think too many people gave Iroquois a chance. I don't even think Maritime thought that would be a game. I can tell you with a straight face, there's no way today Maritime is overlooking Iroquois a second time, because that game Iroquois could have won that game. They were in position to win that game. So Maritime Health Sciences, I know for a fact, hasn't forgotten that. Iroquois hasn't either. They know they can play with them because of what happened last year. They know they can play with this team. We'll see how that transpires on the field today. The weather's a little bit different than it was a year ago.
And that certainly plays in a Maritime favor. You can't discount that.
I'll say this. We talked at nauseum about Trey Kleitz and what a leader he is. And when you have a guy like Kleitz running your offense that can spread the ball around as well as he has with his receivers, McGoldrick, and who's never got the attention he deserved this year. He was just, a top 5, maybe top 10 receiver for sure. 16 touchdowns, almost 900 yards. Even another guy, and Barry's the other one, 543. So when you have a leader like Kleitz that your team believes in, that locker room believes in him, you have a chance. Robert Pizanka is a top coach in this area. They're well trained. I believe they also don't they work with Cross Training Athletics. So
Yes.
you got a Mike Masters in your ear every week, getting you going. Ty Parker does a great job. He was coach of the week last week.
He was
for Maritime. This is going to be a hell of a football game.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously Trey Kleitz he's the leader and deservingly so of all the hype that he gets. But Trevor Barry, he's a sophomore running back with over 1,300 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. I mean, what a future this kid's going to have.
for sure. And just talking about I know we've talked a ton about Trey Kleitz, and obviously he has a potential record on the line that he could break today. This is a revenge game of all proportions for him, because obviously they lost to the Chiefs in the springtime. Chiefs, the Falcons held him to 7 of 24 passing in the springtime. You don't think he wants to get back at those Falcons?
But I can guarantee you, Western New York Maritime, that is bulletin board stuff all week. Don't let him break this record on us.
Yeah, we should mention. So the record, he's currently has 36 touchdowns this season. 37 is the record for all of Western New York, most touchdown passes in the season. That's currently held by Cole Snyder, who set that in 18 from Southwestern. I'm told he's actually, because he plays at Rutgers now, I'm told he's in Indiana so far right now playing with Rutgers. But yeah, so one touchdown for Kleitz ties the record. If he gets a second one, he breaks that mark. So certainly something we'll be keeping an eye on during the broadcast. So it could be a very special game for him. Let's get on to Maritime. We talked, they have a huge rushing attack, but it isn't just one guy. They have multiple guys over 400 yards. You don't see three guys with more than 400 yards on a team very often.
Now, we talked a little bit about how Medina could run the ball. Now, Maritime is a different animal, because when you bring an option attack into it, that's a whole different ballgame. And, you got to bring extra guys into the box. You got to have an extra guy down on the line of scrimmage. The way your defense is played is totally different than just about any other week of the season, just because, it's such a non-traditional old school style of attack. Not too many teams are running that system anymore, but also not a lot of teams are prepared for that system either. So, it could be something that could throw Iroquois all out of whack if they're not ready to defend it.
Yeah, and no doubt they like to throw a mixture of running backs and quarterbacks at you, but they're definitely led by Damian Littleton, the senior running back, over 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. He is definitely the leader as far as the running game, but it's definitely a running back by committee, just like we've seen in the last game. 3 or 4 players over 400 yards, like Francis mentioned. But like you mentioned, buddy, it's a weapon as the quarterback as a rushing too. And what I look for is, is Iroquois going to get sucked into that a little bit, and then maybe they open up the pass and kind of dump it over the top a little bit, because sometimes Iroquois against Albion last week, Albion, their quarterback was out.
Yes.
He broke his leg, so they were putting 8-9 guys in the box, basically daring them to throw.
Right.
Okay, you can't do that at this game because you do have a starting quarterback here. They just choose not to throw or don't have to, so far.
For sure.
I will. Montrese Webster doesn't throw a lot. 381 yards, 5 TDs. 10th grader. I'll tell you, this kid is big. He's massive, and he has to almost feel bad for him. What his back must feel like after the game, after going down under center to take snaps. Could that, because of his height and how far he has to bend down to take snaps under center, could that be an issue with the field being slick, or not as much as it is for anyone else, or Kleitz taking shots in the snap gun?
I don't know. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if you see Copeland under center more or in the backfield and do more direct snaps. Webster's a young kid. He had a rough outing against Bennett and Canisius those first 2 games, right?
That's a tough first 2
It
games.
is a horrible entrance to
as a
high school
sophomore,
football
that had to
career
look so
to me.
fast to him.
I know.
man.
I felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt horrible trying to watch this kid. He didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Canisius was going to be all over you, right?
That is right. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here from the press box. We're gonna send it to Mark Johnson and Tim Borozek. We'll have the call of this Class B championship. It's Iroquois Maritime. Mark, Tim, we'll send it to you. All right, we are having some unfortunate technical difficulties right now with our audio. We are going to keep the stream up over here. Frank and I are going to kind of handle things while they figure out those audio issues. We just want to keep it on here so everybody knows. They can just keep it here. We'll keep track of the game from here. Unfortunately, we don't have a picture, but as soon as they got the audio figured out, we'll send it back to the game. We'll do our best to try to do play-by-play. Unfortunately, we can't keep the camera because of the issues. We can't keep the camera shot going from there. I know a lot of you were watching that with the scoreboard, so we're going to do our best to keep track of it here. We don't have the greatest view, but just bear with us as we watch the game. So 16-0 right now, Maritime. I believe you saw Maritime just score. They did convert the 2-point conversion, so it's now 16-0 with 3:58 to go. Right now, I believe Iroquois, had the ball. I think they just got the ball off the kickoff.
Yeah, folks, we understand there's some technical difficulties here. You know, we're doing our best to get this ready. I see all the comments on Facebook and YouTube, and you know, what do you want us to do, guys? You want to buy a ticket? $10. Come on down. You can watch it for free. But you know, or you can sit there and, you know, give us a few minutes to get this thing back up. So basically, we're restarting our equipment back in the broadcast booth. Should be up in just a few moments.
Yeah. Why don't we catch up on what has happened, or while it's happened? And of course, she's following this on Twitter. So Damian Littleton had the first touchdown for Maritime. That was with 9:12 left in the first quarter. And then that was Braden Boyd who scored the last touchdown. He finds a seam and sprints about 34 yards to the end zone. About 4:10 left in this first quarter. Maritime with the ball. Kleitz right now in the shotgun. He's going to hand it off to his tailback, who gets a couple yards. Looks like he's going to get about 2 or 3 from our vantage point. For sure. So they'll set up about, I think, 3rd and 8. You know, 3rd and 8 on our screen. See if they. You know what? I think
just so people understand, we can't. The cameras are on a specific computer that needs to reboot. We don't want to lose the stream. We've already sent the link out to a number of people. There's hundreds of people watching this right now. So we're going to keep that. We have to keep the stream up. So that's why you're looking at Francis and I. I'm sorry, we're not the prettiest producers and commentators out there, but you sitting at home.
yeah, so we're doing our best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start absolutely knocking everybody off that makes a stupid comment.
We understand you're frustrated, but we'll just bear with us for a little bit.
So
while we take care of this.
People off, and I really am going to do it because it's that kind of day. But basically, yeah, we're giving you guys the best experience for those of you that are at home that didn't want to come out and pay the $10 to get in and battle these elements. But we're going to have this game back in just a minute. As soon as Timmy gets that computer rolling, we promise you we'll bring you back all the action.
Looks like right now it's 4th and 8 right now for Iroquois. They are on the Maritime side of the field on the 44. So Kleitz is going to be in the shotgun. 5 receivers, 3 to his left. 3 to his left, 2 to his right. And it looks like there's going to be a timeout. Delay of game on Iroquois. So that'll turn into 4th and 12. So tough for Iroquois. They gotten off to a tough start, unfortunately, for the Chiefs. Now they're going to be 4th and 12. Motion man goes across to Kleitz, trips on the left side. Sets up. Kleitz is going to throw down the field on the sideline, and that pass is just out of the way for 29. That is Nate Blair, the sophomore. So it's turnover on downs. Maritime is going to take over on their own 49-yard line with 2:53 to go in this first quarter. 16-0 Falcons as they get the ball back. I believe they scored. It was their first 2 drives. They were able to score. They almost scored on a punt return, although it was called back on the play. So Maritime's going to set up in their traditional formation, extra fullbacks to the left side. Handoff to Littleton, and he is wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage. I believe that was 67 of Iroquois. Let's see who we have on our roster for that as 67. I believe that was Connor Curl. Maybe that was 68. He Trench Trophy nominee. Looks like he got the tackle on that play. Gonna set up 2nd and 10 for Maritime. All right. Maritime back in that same formation. Under center. Handoff to the right side. That'll be 1 to Copeland. Copeland getting to the outside. He is knocked down, reaches for the first down, but it looks like there's a penalty possibly in the line of holding. We'll see what the call is. Yeah. All right, they're going to call holding on Maritime. So that'll push the Falcons back, but Copeland was kind of that second back. It's not quite the pistol because they're under center, but they were kind of the backs in the backfield were kind of in that pistol formation, right angle, and it was Copeland on the side. It was really nicely designed. It was able to get him to the outside. He had a couple blockers as well to get him. Unfortunately, it looks like there was a hold, so it's going to set up 2nd and 19 on their own 40 for the Falcons as they line up again under center. Handoff to Littleton. Littleton gets to the outside, gets the yardage back, and more gets across midfield. Should set up about 2nd and 8 for the Falcons. Again, if you're just tuning in, we apologize. We're having some issues with our main laptop, so they are currently working on that. I know we had some audio issues, and unfortunately, with the way what we figured out what the issue was, we have to reboot the laptop that had the camera. So they're working on that right now. So we're gonna do our best to keep you guys up to date. So thank you for, we have a bunch of viewers still watching. So thank you to you guys for still watching and supporting us through this all. It's going to be 4th and 5 right now for the Falcons. They're at the 44 still. It's a 4th and 5. It might be 3rd and 5. The marker and the scoreboard have different downs, but either way, Maritime's going to line up under center. Again, that pistol formation with the 3 backs in the backfield, and it looks like there is going to be a timeout. So at this moment, why don't we go back, just quickly recap what's been happening. 16-0 Maritime. They lead this one. First touchdown was Littleton. He bounced outside and was able to score on 40-yard touchdown, 9:12 to go in the first quarter. That was followed on the next drive. Braden Boyd, he found a seam for 34 yards. If I can get my notes together, 34 yards to extend the Falcon lead. There was about 4:10 left in the first quarter. Right now, there's about 49 seconds left in that in the first quarter. When we take a look at stats, Maritime has that great rushing attack. Littleton comes into this game with 1,157 yards and 13 touchdowns, added a 14th, as I just mentioned. Boyd is their second leading rusher, comes into this game with 515 yards, 3 TDs, now has 4. We just said. Copeland's had a couple of runs. And now Maritime's going to line up in the shotgun. Littleton, 2 to his left. Motion man goes. Snap. Handoff to Littleton. He goes to the left side. Gets away from one tackler, but he's met by a whole host of Chiefs, and he's taken down right behind the line of scrimmage. It'll make it 4th and 5 for Maritime, and it looks like they may line up to punt. It looks like the Chiefs are going to get their first drive start. I apologize. Actually, that was 4th down. So turnover on downs. Iroquois Chiefs get a stop, and they get the ball back. So they're going to line up in the shotgun. Trips to the right side of Kleitz, and he also has his back. One receiver on the left side. Running back motions. Kleitz steps back, looks, throws. He hits a receiver on the run, and the ball comes out, but the referee says he was down. That was 17 for Iroquois. Andrew Trabuco. He comes into this game with 5 catches, 106 yards. He makes a nice catch there. That'll be enough for the first down. Let's see where they place the ball at. Looks like it'll be on the 43 of Maritime. So Chiefs a good try to start there. Get handoff, quick toss to the tailback. He moves forward on the left side, gets about 2 yards. See if we can catch a number on that one. It looks to be 20. I think it was 21. I think that was Trevor Berry, their leading rusher. Sophomore only. I believe there was a Berry before, Frank. It was the older brother just a few years ago. So a very strong family out in Iroquois. Again, fortunately, we are on the other side. We are kind of in the corner, as you might be able to see, of the end zone. So we're doing our best to try to see. It is the end of the first quarter. Maritime is up 16-0 in this game over Iroquois. Rematch of last year's sectional final, where these two teams went back and forth. I believe Iroquois may have come back. They were down a few scores and were able to come back, I think, in the fourth quarter, bring it to overtime, but fell on the final play in overtime, I believe, on a 2-point conversion play.
Yeah. That's all I got to add to that. You know what? The good news is, though, this field, we can finally see it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Before, when we first got here, it was like carpeted, like a white carpet all over the entire field. The guys from Section 6 kind of stole. Jay Sirianni were down there actually shoveling the sidelines. Like the Buffalo Bills we got here and weren't going to do anything. They just handed them a couple of shovels. They just handed them a couple of shovels and shovel the field off if you guys want to play on it. So, but the first game, man.
All right, so second quarter begins. Kleitz is back in the shotgun. Trips to his left. Also has the back to his left. Handoff to Barry. He goes forward, and he's maybe going to get about a yard on that play. Should set up about 3rd and 6, long 6, maybe a short 7 for the Chiefs. Now on the 40 of Maritime. Kleitz, we talked about it in pregame. 2 touchdowns away from breaking the record, single season record of passes in touchdown passes in a season. All of Western New York, in for sure. Currently being held by Cole Snyder. Right now in the shotgun. Kleitz is always all alone. Looks to his right, can't find anybody. Throws out to Barry, who is hit immediately by Maritime defender. Believe that was, I think, 56. That may have been David Wright. We can't quite tell from here. 50, definitely a 50 numbers. Definitely, it was a linebacker who came really across the field. And met Barry as soon as he caught that ball, he puts down a great hit to make that play for him. And it looks like we got a picture back. So it looks like they're starting to
snow that's on the field is definitely going to be on the field for our last game of the day today. And of course, Lancaster, a double-A battle against the Bennett Tigers. And that's going to be an interesting one with these conditions as such.
And you could see the field just from our perspective. We know that there was wet snow that came down throughout the early portion of the Medina, well, throughout the entire game, Medina and Fredonia. And now that snow is more or less caked onto the turf and created what looks to be an ice type of condition. So far, though, not an issue for the Falcon offense and the running game in particular, who have moved the ball with great efficiency and effectiveness.
Yeah, they're staying to the ground game, of course. That's their bread and butter. But you're right, the Chiefs just don't have an answer right now for the running prowess of Mr. Littleton.
Yeah, and Littleton, along with Braylon Boyd, that's been your two connections for the touchdowns. Littleton, of course, putting the first points on the board, and then Boyd stepping in with that second touchdown. Both those guys averaging over 10 yards a carry on the season and getting it done early so far today.
And they're both seniors, so they're both playing for something to play for here. That's for sure. As this Class B championship, the winner will play next week at Williamsville North in the Western Regionals against the Section 5 team.
Talk about depth on this Maritime Health Sciences team too, Mark. You have Addison Copeland, who has really not needed to be the big contributor on offense this year. Of course he has, but in terms of additional help through Littleton, Boyd, Webster, they're getting it done with multiple hands on deck. And we know that Copeland is the big recruit out of all those young men going to Pittsburgh, but he's done a nice job in just being a great teammate and being selfless, really. And love when I saw him interviewed at Media Day. He mentioned how he was most looking forward to the moment you walked into this arena, how everything is different than any other feeling you get at another game, and just the energy of this atmosphere. And you could see how they've fed off this energy so far into this early portion of the second quarter.
And the reason for the delay here, we have an Iroquois Chief player down on the other side in front of the Western New York Maritime bench over there, right around the 47-yard line or so. And we cannot see a number here. He was laying down on his back. He's now sitting up as the training staff for Iroquois and Western New York Maritime, they're looking at him.
And we sure hope that this young man is okay. It does look like it could be serious, the fact that he's been down as long as he has, and of course taking all precautions to make sure that he's getting the attention he needs and not rushing him back onto his feet if they can indeed do that.
Once again, we cannot see the number from this angle. It's way on the other side of the field as he's moving his legs now gingerly. First the left leg, now the right.
And Mark, you have to think, no matter, and you could see now the Maritime bench is clearing to make way for him to get up on his feet with the help of his trainer and coach. And that looks like number 21, I believe, Trevor Berry.
Yeah,
it could be Berry.
Yeah, it might be Berry. Yep, Trevor Berry. That's their running start.
And that is no small injury to the Chiefs, and it does not look good for Berry as he's getting help by both coaches. And right now, your thoughts and prayers definitely going out to his health first and foremost. It does look like he is going very slowly and not putting any pressure on that injury.
Hate to speculate what it is. It's obviously something to either a leg or an ankle, but Trevor Berry, just a sophomore. What a sensational 2 years he's had for the Chiefs. He's got 2 more years, but they're walking him off very slowly now, being assisted by number 75, Nate Wheeler. And he's just about to the bench. I said so.
Just as a reminder, the games that we'll be seeing next week, the winner of this game is going to be heading to Will South, playing the Section 5 champion. That's taking place, that game tonight, between Honey Eye Falls, Lima versus Batavia. That's at 6 o'clock. So whoever wins this, certainly going to keep a close eye on that game.
So back to action here, 1st and 10, and Littleton on the carry. Littleton busts his way down. He's trying to break free. A beautiful run there, 16, 17, 18 yards for Littleton. On the ground, they'll move the chains.
And Mark, while Littleton continues to dominate this game, it's a quite different story on the sideline for Iroquois, with Barry now gingerly making his way finally to the bench, helmet off, and certainly a concern whether or not he'll come back in the game. It does not look promising at this point.
Handoff from Webster, and before that, a whistle, and we have a motion call, legal procedure against the Falcons. So that'll cost them 5. 16-0. Western New York Maritime out in front here, trying to add more.
You have to think an injury in these kind of conditions can really be exacerbated with the cold and not being able to keep that body warm, especially on the sidelines. Hopefully the young man, though, will be able to potentially get his way back into this game.
Well, it's 1st and 15 now. Webster under center once again. Spins, turns, drops the ball, and now they're going to drop him. He went to hand it off. He didn't even have the ball. They finally get him down around the 43-yard line, but that's another loss of a couple more.
Yeah, we know Kleitz had some trouble so far with the snaps coming out of the shotgun, and there Webster also finding it difficult. And you have to think the colder this day goes and the longer the game goes on, that ball is cold and it's going to be difficult to handle. You could see it already, and I'm sure that's not going to get any easier as this game progresses.
So it's 2nd down now and 16. With that ball at the 42-yard line of Iroquois. Webster under center, and someone else moved again, I believe. And they're going to call delay of game once again on the Falcons.
And we've seen some delays of game between this game and the first game, Medina Fredonia. And I think a lot of times with this weather, Mark, it's slowing down the attack on these offenses and getting their plays in, and just overall communication in these conditions a little more difficult.
The give once again to Littleton. Littleton bashes his way out and picks up a nice chunk of yardage there. He got all the way out to the, let's see, it's a 31-yard line, I believe.
And Littleton
nope,
carrying some Iroquois defenders along there on the tackle. Pete Gaglio, we know Pete was a little bit banged up earlier in the first quarter. Good to see him out there and contributing, but definitely not an easy day so far for the Iroquois Chiefs defense.
So it's 3rd down and 9 now for the Falcons. Reese Webster once again under center with just one receiver out on the left side. And they're going to give it to Copeland. Copeland running his way right side to the left side, and now a flag being thrown. Is going to go down tiptoe down the sideline, and he's going to score, but they're going to bring this one back here on a probably a push to the back, I would think. Maybe a holding call.
Really impressed, though, regardless of what this call is, just the speed that Copeland is showing and the rest of the Maritime offense being able to maneuver on this difficult field right now, and they're not looking anything like it's being a factor for them. They're basically executing the ball and making their cuts, and that's a sign of great success so far for Coach Tyree Parker. He has to be extremely pleased with the way his backs have been able to, 1, protect the ball, and 2, continue to make moves upfield.
So he marked that down off from the spot, then brings it back to the 35-yard line again. Now another flag comes in. And a legal substitution now on the Falcons. So there's 2 back-to-back penalties on Western New York Maritime.
Mark, with our perspective of the stadium, you could see it looks like heavy cloud cover still to the south, and that is coming our way. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any kind of break in the weather, and got to love this overcast weather. This is what makes Highmark Stadium great eye appeal for television.
So it's 3rd down and 14. Pitch out, right side, on the move. And trying to make a cut, and he lost his footing down there. And then that was number 2 on that carry.
It's the
Jameer
sophomore.
Thomas.
And we know the rest of the backfield have not had any difficulty making their cuts, but right there, Jameer Thomas having a little bit of a slippage, and did look like if he didn't slip there, he would have had a little more daylight, and that speed is demonstrated by now another back. They're really hitting those holes hard today, the Falcons are.
So we're going to take this ball. Let's see if was there a flag down there that we missed, Tim?
Yeah, it
There was.
does look like it.
If there was a flag thrown right at the 40-yard line, another penalty on Western New York Maritime. That's 3 in a row on them. They'll bring it back to their own, to the Iroquois 45-yard line. They're going the wrong way.
And they've had series of penalties on this drive, bringing them to 3rd and 19 here.
Webster now charging in, and it was one of the Iroquois Chiefs.
Yeah, it looks like Brendan Donnelly, the junior, may have jumped early for the Chiefs, and you could see kind of lost his balance along the way.
Yep, they're going to call offsides on Iroquois. Oh, mark 5 yards back the other way against them. So back and forth we go with the officials here. 4 penalties in a row.
Well, you know you want to play aggressive, especially trying to penetrate that tough offensive line if you're Iroquois, but keeping your balance and staying on that sideline is key.
Littleton bashes his way through it. He's going to go to the end zone. Touchdown, Maritime. He made it look easy. That was a 35, 40-yard scamper. 40 yards on that run.
Yeah, and it's been all Littleton so far in this first half. He's continuing to dominate, really just looking like the best player on the field so far, and that says a lot when you're going against stars like Barry and Kleitz. But Littleton, the show so far, is Iroquois now seeing a 22-0 deficit with the Falcons having a chance here with the 2-point conversion.
They're going to go for 2, of course. That's what they do. Let's see what they can do with it here. The give. Littleton bashes his way through, and he picked it up. It's converted. And with 6:07 left in this first half, 24-0 Western New York Maritime Health Sciences.
Could you say you would expect to see a dominant performance so far early on? I mean, you look at what happened last year when these two teams met in the final game of the season. That was at Johnny B. Wiley because, of course, we weren't here with the COVID shortened season. But that game came down to a double overtime loss for Iroquois. They lost 26-20. We knew coming into today that was, on my mind, of a similar kind of game. Of course, you got different kids on the roster here, but so far, Western New York Maritime just dominating. That first game, or that last game rather, 0-0 at the end of the first half. So a little bit of a different first half here compared to the last time these two teams met.
All Falcons here in this first half, putting up 24 points. So Iroquois' kick return team a little slow to get out there. That's because they were getting an earful from the head coach.
You look at what Western New York Maritime Health Sciences has been able to do in just 4 years of having a program. Their first year, they were up against a little bit more of a difficult league, being in more Class A, playing South Park, Amherst. And then since they've gone down to B, it's been dominance.
Nick McGoldrick on the return. He spins out his way out to about the 33-yard line or so, and that's where the Chiefs will have it 1st and 10.
How about sophomore Adam Nunez? Freshman Adam Nunez on the special teams play there for Maritime Health Sciences. Nice job with the stoppage.
So with 6 minutes even left here, Iroquois needs to get something going and get it going in a hurry. Lights in the shotgun with 3 receivers out to his left side. Now a man in motion. Fakes the pitch, but there was movement before that. Illegal procedure against the Chiefs.
And that's a hole that they're digging that's difficult, especially with Barry still out in this game. No telling whether or not he will be back in action, but it looks to be right now just Trey Kleitz, and then the filling in the backfield there for him is no back, just single back here.
Yeah, empty backfield for Clyde. So 2 receivers out right, trips out left, and once again another whistle.
Mark Tommy McConnelty, the junior, also had some carries throughout the season for the Chiefs and had some nice success this year. So we'll look at him most likely being the go-to with Trevor Berry on the sideline.
Cleats in the shotgun, empty backfield. Now a man in motion. Cleats is going to keep it himself, and he runs right into the middle of the Maritime defensive line. He had no chance. Nice play there, number 58. Rashawn Brown came in and led a host of tacklers.
I think it's safe to say at this point in the game, one of the biggest noticeable differences is that line play. We know Tom Prince has mentioned that going into this game, that was a concern of his with the line, and you can see right now the line on both sides for the Falcons dominating.
Cleats waits on the shotgun again on a 2nd down and 18. There's a catch from McGoldrick, but he spun down and he lost a yard.
And Marquise Miller, the junior defensive back, on him like glue. Great job in the coverage. That's another issue that, Kleitz probably hasn't really gone against too many secondaries this skilled. And this is certainly a challenge, especially being down now 24-0. But it's going to have to come down to Kleitz most likely in order to get this team back into the mix.
3rd and 20 now for the Chiefs. They're backing up. Ball's on the 23-yard line. Now they're going to throw one up. And looks and tries to have his man, and that is going to be intercepted. Intercepted at midfield. Brought back 40, 35, 30. Still on his feet. And a nice pick there for one of the Falcons. Let's see if we can grab that number. I believe that is number 3, Zeke Taylor, on that interception.
Yeah, Zeke Taylor, one of the guys on this team that's been on the squad 4 years. You've got a couple young men here that have played for 4 years, Zeke Taylor being one of them. And it's just, you look at the talent they've got, Zeke Taylor, Malik Bryant, Braden Boyd, David Wright, Addison Copeland, all those kids, 4 years with this program. So they've been able to really witness just a dominance in being able to take over Class B.
Well, 1st and 10 for the Falcons. And they're in excellent shape right now as Littleton carries again. There he goes. Littleton makes his way to the goal line, scores. Touchdown Maritime, and they're starting to run away with it now, Tim.
Littleton looking like Marshawn Lynch the way he's maneuvering on this turf here at Bill's Stadium. It's tremendous what he's getting done so far in this first half, and there's a flag they look like they may call excessive celebration, which I don't know if that's the accurate flag of what they are calling. If it is the case, I don't know if that's being a little bit sensitive, but the young men deserve to celebrate. I don't think that was too excessive.
No, but they're going to call it anyway on sportsmanlike conduct, but the touchdown counts his 3rd score this half. And he cannot be stopped. Damon Littleton, once he gets in that secondary, he's gone.
Yeah, he's playing anything but little, no doubt about it. And the senior making his mark, and at Highmark, you could know he wants to continue his high school career, and so far looking pretty good at chances of that, facing possibly the Section 5 winner. And again, that will be next Saturday at Williamsville South High School.
Boyd on the carry. They're going to jam him up, and the 2-point try fails. So they're up 30-0 here with 4:23 left in this first half. All Falcons to this point, Tim. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and with Barry going down for Iroquois, it's a huge hole they're in, not just being down 30 points, but the conditions, everything is really not setting up well for the Chiefs right now. And I think if you're Coach Rob Pizzanca, you're just looking at trying to develop some momentum here, especially before the first half is over. We have 4:23 left. They're going to get the ball. If they can somehow just move the ball, gain a little momentum, some confidence. At this point, it's just baby steps because they have had no success so far moving the ball offensively. And if they can find some, at least here to end the first half, it's a bit of success in what's been really a dismal first half for the Chiefs.
30-0 here. Western New York Maritime Health Sciences doing the job on the ground. And now they're going to mark back this, that the unsportsmanlike conduct foul. They're going to bring that back 15 yards. So they're going to be kicking it off from their own 25-yard line. So here's a chance for Iroquois to try to get the ball and get it in good shape here. Let's see. They're still well back there to receivers. They should be moving up a little bit anyway. I don't think this is going to be that deep of a kick.
Yeah, especially the way the kicks have been going today. They have not been able to get the footing to deliver that strike as long.
And there's a kick, high end over end. It's going to be taken at the 25-yard line, up the gut. Oh, and he tried to spin in the wrong way, and he had a chance. A good movement. He's down. That was Remy Sullivan on that return, number 8.
Looks like LaShawn Braxton, another freshman, making a contribution on special teams with a big hit there. And we've seen some major hits on special teams, and we know special teams are always a factor here. So far today, though, it's been not as much of an issue. It's been really the running game so far for Maritime Health Sciences, and right there with a nice run for Iroquois, Mark.
Yeah, Remy Sullivan takes the ball and the carry, picks up about 6 yards. Makes it 2nd and 4 here as we come down inside 4 minutes left in this half. So it's what they're going to call it 2nd and 5 here. So here we go. Kleitz in the shotgun. Waits on the snap. Going to give it to Sullivan again. Sullivan hits the line and he goes absolutely nowhere. Lost a couple. They're waiting for him, Tim.
Yeah, you could see that's a difficult task when you've got Malik Bryant. I think they call him Mo Bryant based on the announcer, but he is a force to be reckoned with up in the middle, and just one of the many linemen for the Maritime Health Sciences defensive front that's been a force so far and really keeping Iroquois at bay offensively.
So now it looks like it's going to be a timeout taken by Iroquois here with 3:15 remaining in this first half. They're down by 30. And Coach Pizanka wants to have a chat with his offensive line.
Yeah, and trying to get a sight here of Barry. I don't see him anywhere on the sidelines as of right now. I'm not sure if they've taken him into the locker room to look at him further and keep him warm. We know it's cold, and when you got a major injury, if there is one, hopefully it's not major, but hopefully for his sake, he can make his way back into this game. But certainly the big story is his loss, and then, of course, the running game on the opposite side of Maritime Health Sciences, just crushing the game so far, really getting it done, doing everything they want to do with running the ball.
I'd like everybody to stand by for our next game coming up tonight. That's going to be a tape delayed broadcast. Lancaster and Bennett, Class AA, follows this game here tonight. Plates back the pass. Looks, throws it up high and missed his target again. He was looking for Sullivan coming out of the back, but now a late flag. Sullivan had his route impeded there.
Check that, Mark. I believe that's Tommy McConnelty, who's been in the backfield, and we knew that he was the main guy in replacement for Barry. But if you notice, Kleitz is having trouble finding, his receivers are having trouble finding separation right now from the difficult secondary, and the defense is just stopping them on all fronts right now, whether it's the defensive line or the secondary with great coverage. But looks like another penalty is going to move that ball up for Iroquois.
So they're going to get a first down out of it. The ball is going to be spotted right at the 25-yard line of Western New York Maritime. So great field position here for the Chiefs. They need to score badly with 3:08 left in this first half. Cleats. And that ball was given to, once again, to number 6, McConnelty. And he was cut down right there before the line of scrimmage. Great play.
Yeah, it looked like Wright again, driving through the lane, filling the gap nicely.
David Wright has 7 sacks actually 8 sacks on this season.
Check that. That was Braylon Boyd flying through. as his teammate helps him adjust his equipment here after that play. But Wright and Boyd, certainly two of the toughest defenders there on the Falcon defense.
Cleats waiting in the shotgun here. Is back to pass. Looking now. He's going to have to roll out to the right, flushed on the run. He's going to keep it himself, and he'll get out of bounds as a couple players wipe out over there in the snowdrift.
You could see it's difficult for those players, even as they're getting to the sideline and stopping their momentum. We know that's always an issue, and especially as you get to those sidelines, you could see some of that difficulty in just being able to get your footing under you. So there you could see Kleitz taking a little extra bump as he made it to the sideline.
So he picked up a gain of 6 over there. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 6 now for the Chiefs here. They're no doubt in a 4-down situation with 2:21 left here in this first half. Cleats waits for the snap. Now he's going to keep it himself. They're waiting for him. They bring him down and bring him down with authority. He never had a chance, Tim. Tried to do something up the middle. They were waiting for him.
Yeah, and trying to get a number on the defender there that made the stop. I believe that might have been Malik Bryan again.
Bryan, another great play. Boy, everybody's getting in on the act on that Maritime front line up there.
You could see just from the perspective of our booth here that the line, the differential in size is significant. It's noticeable. And so far on the field, it's been noticeable as well with the way that dominance has been for both sides. The Falcons really just taking it to the Chiefs right now on that line and making it a difficult afternoon on a chilly Saturday.
So the Chiefs burn up their last time out.
We're going to take a quick break. You're watching live action here from Highmark on Western New York Athletics. We'll be right back.
All right, back live here on a 4th down play. Cleats is going to put it up in the air. He's looking, and he missed his man down there, and that was McNulty. So they're going to turn it over on downs.
Yeah, once again, great coverage by the Falcon defense. And you can see Braylon Boyd jumping for joy right now, and that's a huge stop. Momentum is key at this point for Iroquois, and they just have not been able to find any whatsoever here in the first half.
You can see those players on the sideline and the Iroquois bench, Tim, their heads are down. They feel probably right now they just want to get back in the locker room and warm up a little bit, down 30-0 here.
Yeah, and you have to think a lot of teams, when you wake up to this kind of weather, you kind of get excited. But when it comes down to Kleitz and what he had at stake today, possibly, and it's still not over, but with that chance to break the record, maybe not the best conditions for Iroquois coming into tonight.
Littleton bangs his way out over the 35-yard line and picks up a 1st down on a nice 11-yard run.
And Littleton making a case for MVP so far in that first half, having 3 touchdowns. Just a phenomenal job for the senior.
They still have 2 timeouts remaining here under the 90-second mark. They're just going to give it to him again. Littleton. Or is that Boyd? It could be Boyd. Yeah, Boyd spins it around. He's going to pick up another 1st down. There's another nice 10-yard run.
And we know both Boyd and Littleton averaging over 10 a carry on the season. And you could say they're pretty safe to say they're both nearing that average today.
And Boyd's 43 carries for 515 yards, 12 yards a crack with 3 touchdowns and a touchdown today. So he's got 4 for the season. Another 1st down at the ball at the 45-yard line. The give one again to Boyd. Boyd, he hits the outside and he picks up another 10. 10 yards of crack here, Tim.
It's been all a running game so far, and you know they don't have to pass in these conditions, and that really suits Western New York Maritime Health Sciences fine, as they don't really pass much to begin with. So coming into this game, I'm sure they didn't have any qualms about the conditions of this field today. Nice job on the tackle there for Iroquois with Kevin Kramer, the junior, stepping up on a big tackle. Look at the way the Falcons set up their season too, Mark, where the first 2 games of the season, they go against 2 of the toughest teams in Western New York, facing Bennett, losing a close game to Bennett 16-0, and then getting handled a little bit more by Canisius. But to set up your season going against the powerhouses and then go from there down a couple classes to Class B, it really suit their season well. And you figure now they haven't lost a game in Class B in the 3 years they've been in Class B. And it looks like that's going to be possibly official with still a lot of time to go, but a very convincing lead with 52 seconds left to go, up 30-0 here in the first half.
Well, first down at 10 with the ball at the 44-yard line of the Chiefs. Boyd tries to get to the outside. There's another flag come down. So that's going to be actually the 6th flag here if it's against the Western New York Maritime team. Let's wait for the call here. And just by the reaction of the Maritime players, they know it's against them. They're backing up.
One other thing here about this Maritime team. Over the last 3 years, we've talked about their record, but how about this record? 100% graduation rate with an average GPA of 3.2 for their student athletes here on this football team. And that's really a credit to Ty Parker and making sure that the academics are of equal and more importance than the athleticism on the football field.
Well, my apologies. That flag was against Iroquois. And that was the old breakdown with the 1 go high, 1 go low call. And they mark off 15 big ones against the Chiefs. The ball down at the 22-yard line, 1st and 10. And this nightmare half continues here with the clock running at 38 seconds. Boyd looks like he's going to try to bang his way down at about the 5-yard line. They have a timeout left. They're probably going to use it here.
Tyler Muskoff finally making the stop as once again the Falcon backfield is carrying several Chiefs along the way and just churning out yards at will.
1st and goal to goal from the 4-yard line. And now finally they're going to have to take timeout, and they didn't want to take timeout. They wanted to go ahead and run a play. They wanted to save that timeout with 22 seconds left. But someone over on the Western New York Maritime bench called time.
Yeah, and they're really looking to go for the jugular here when it comes down to being up 30-0 at half and now looking to score and add to that. But
No.
you have to put the pedal on the metal for sure here. The game is by no means out of reach.
Boyd gets the carry again, goes to the outside, and he's going to get pushed out of bounds. And he ended up losing a yard over there with 8 seconds left on the clock. Now, they didn't give him that timeout, Tim.
No, a little bit of confusion there. On the stop there for the Chiefs was Andrew Trabuco and Kevin Kramer.
So now they take their last timeout out of the half with just 8 seconds remaining here. So it's 2nd down and goal from the 6-yard line. Referee says, yes, they're out of timeouts. So both teams have no timeouts remaining.
You know, Coach Parker during media day was interviewed and mentioning how he looks at all these opportunities to play here at the old Ralph Highmark Stadium as a blessing, and how going into this week, you know, everything's amplified. The intensity of practice it's noticeable, and you could see they've come out with a laser focus so far today. And in these conditions, handling the ball, they have not turned the ball over. You know, we've seen some, you know, bobbled snaps on both sides of the ball, but really doing a nice job protecting the ball for as much as they've been running it effectively. And I have to say the footing that the backfield is showing, they've got great athleticism and balance to be able to run with this kind of effectiveness in the tough conditions that are going on the field right now.
All right, here's the play with 8 seconds left here. And it looks like a pass going into the far corner. Can he run it down? No, it'll plenty of contact down there.
There's going to be another flag here in the backfield.
Late hit?
It's in the backfield, so it's a holding.
No, it's a hold, and that should Well, there's still 2 seconds left on the clock here, so hang on. And so surprised to see Maritime try a pass there, but there looked like plenty of contact in that corner with those two defensive backs
Yeah, you can
on that
see
receiver.
the body language of David Wright there. A little bit disappointed about the holding call and knowing that they're going to be pushed back. And I like the fact that they're playing aggressive still. You have to. The game is not by any means over, even though they're up by a large margin. They still have to definitely execute, and they can't take Iroquois lightly, and give them credit for trying to be aggressive.
That hold was back on the 13-yard line, so they counted 10 yards from that point, put the ball down on the 23-yard line. Well, technically, that was almost like a 16-yard penalty. The ball was originally on the 5, and it was moved back to the 6, and now here we go with the last play of the half here. 2 seconds left. Back to pass. Webster's going to have to step up. He's going to throw one up in the air for grabs, and it's knocked down, and that's the way this first half comes to an end. After one half of play, Western New York Maritime Health Sciences 30, Iroquois, no score. You're watching the Class B championship game here from Highmark Stadium.
And Mark, we're going to have a halftime show. We're going to be sending it over to Frank Wolf and crew. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be back to start the second half.
All right, welcome into the press box here at Highmark Stadium. Halftime report. It's Maritime leading Iroquois 30-0 in this Class B championship at Highmark Stadium. Maritime on route to a three-peat. I'm joined now by Kyrie Demos, Tim Schiffa, and Adam Gorski from Canisius College. I believe he was the sports editor for the Griffin. You graduated, right, Adam?
Nah, still a senior, man.
Or he's still a senior. He's still there. So it's still the sports editor there?
Yes, sir.
The Griffin,
yes, sir.
yeah. A lot of great sports writers have come out of that paper over there, as well as the Record, including me. Not to put that out. Not to be too much of myself. So Adam, all right, first of all, we do want to apologize. We're still having some audio issues there. Having some computer issues with our sound. We had to come to me and see my ugly face for a little while, try to call the game from the corner of the press box, but we got you, Mark and Tim. They're doing a fantastic job, and we're trying to work at halftime. We're trying to improve the video a little bit as well. So the second half, much better quality broadcast. Let's go down. Let's talk about the game itself. Adam, you've been keeping track of it. Again, 30-0. Maritime almost punched in it again. Who's been walk us through that first half a little bit, Adam?
All right. Well, Maritime, they're scoring their first two drives. Damian Littleton has obviously been the guy. 3 touchdowns on the day. Well over 100 yards. I don't have the exact number, but he had their opening score. That was on their first drive about 3 minutes into the game. That made it 8-0. Maritime nearly ran a punt back 70 yards if it wasn't for a penalty that took that back. Their second score came later in the first quarter. Braylon Boyd, I think he punched that in from about 45 yards out, 34 yards out, excuse me. And a 16-0. Littleton again. That was a 40-yarder in the second quarter. 6 minutes to play in the second quarter. That made it 24-0. And then not too long after that, just about a minute after, I think Maritime picked off Trey Kleitz, and first play after the turnover, 25 yards out for Littleton, his third score of the game, 30-0. And as you said, very nearly punched it in again there at the end of the half. That would have just been insult to injury, but 30-0. Littleton pretty much dominating.
Tim, I asked you this right before we went on to halftime, and I know Kyrie can give his answer too. How the field conditions have improved a bit, especially from that first game. It's not so anymore. It is a little slick. So how much of this is weather-based, and how much of this is Maritime is just a better team than Iroquois?
Yeah, I thought it's a little of both. It's better than the first game as far as the field conditions, but it's still not perfect. They didn't get plowed or anything, so it's just some guys doing a helping hand shoveling, and you can see that the timing for Kleitz and his receivers are definitely off. There's a few times that Kleitz tried to go deep a few times, and he's overshooting his receivers, which he's not adjusting to about the 1 to 2 steps slower that the receivers are being on their routes. And that's what's happening on his overthrowing a little bit. But the other big part of that is they are just getting punched in the mouth. Okay. And how many times, Kyrie, do we see the quote unquote finesse team versus the power team just kind of get beat up at this time of the year?
Absolutely. I mean, styles make fights, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
as they say. And I think this time of year to be able to lean on a running game like Maritime has, it's really showing improving. And, you know, I really want to give a lot of credit to Tyree Parker's defense. They pitched 2 shutouts back to back, aiming for their 3rd straight now, and would be their 4th of the season. So, I mean, clearly they've been able to put it together on that side of the ball as well. I really like the fact that, you know, they've been able to get a lot of different guys involved. But, you know, I think even with Iroquois' offense, I don't think it's been an issue of execution necessarily, because, you know, they're getting downfield. They've been able to make some plays, but I think the biggest thing is they just haven't been able to finish. I want to see the 3rd down conversion rate. 3 of 4 for Maritime on 3rd downs. 0 for 6 for Iroquois, as well as 0 for 4 on 4th down
downs, too.
conversions. So,
And I didn't, you know, I think Kleitz, if he could go back, would have changed his decision a couple times on 4th down. He had it like 4th and 5, 4th and 4. I don't know the exact, but he chose to go deep on a couple of those instead of trying to go for the 1st down and keep the drive alive or keep the drive going.
Yeah.
And that's when I noticed that I was on the field for those passes, and I noticed his receivers were noticeably about a half a step to 1 step slower than normal, which is creating the quarterback to overthrow a little bit. But I can't. You mentioned the defense; they're not only just dominating; they're doing it against a team that has blown out everybody they had played almost. I mean, there's obviously a couple close games, but we're talking about playing against a quarterback who is two touchdown passes away from the Western New York record,
right,
and he can't move the ball on these guys.
Can't even move the ball.
Yeah, hasn't thrown a touchdown. Trey Kleitz, again, we'll remind you that record. It's the Western New York single season passing record. It's currently held by Cole Snyder. He said it in 2018. He's now playing at Rutgers, of course, 37 touchdowns. Other guys on that list is, you know, Joe Licata, Aaron Chase, very good company that Trey Kleitz is, even if he is unable to tie or break the record. I'm just looking at the stats right now. You know, I was thinking this morning, my first thought when I got up, I wasn't really expecting the snow. So I looked outside and I saw the snow and I thought, Ty Parker must be very happy right now looking at all this snow. He's like, this plays into my hands, knowing the style of Iroquois and then his style. And the first half, that's how it's playing out. Yeah. Look at this.
But, Francis, we you know, me, you, and Frank were sitting at breakfast this morning, and we had 2 blowouts yesterday, and we said, there's no way that these 3 games can be blowouts today. We have to have close games. I mean, it was 57,000 to 4 last game. It's 30 to 30 to nothing at this game. I don't know what's going on with these games the last couple of weeks, but we can't get a close game.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It really is tough, and especially like, you know, I think, you know, if the weather was permitting things, I think it would be a little bit different. But the different styles, I think, really shows like, hey, you know, one style is more prone to getting it done in the elements versus the other. So if the elements weren't involved, I would just love to see how these teams would play.
I think another thing you got to consider too with the elements and the conditions is that Trevor Berry, obviously Iroquois running back, goes down. I'm not sure if we saw him come back in the first half. And obviously he's their leading rusher by a long shot. I mean, I think he's got well over 1,322
and
yards.
They had to help carry him off too, so it didn't look like an injury that he was going to bounce back. I didn't notice. I don't think he was back.
I mean, well, we didn't see him. I didn't see him on the bench. Maybe they took him to the dressing room, or he was just standing with, you know, something on. And
if we get confirmation, we'll see it. You know, find out on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's another. Even if he does come back, it looked like a leg injury, so that's certainly not going to help you trying to cut and run in this you know, wet snow on the ground. So
and you know, and Kyrie, you mentioned, you know, the weather being a factor, but yes, it definitely is. But I also think these coaches and these teams, they know they play in Buffalo, New York, and they have to be somewhat prepared for because you know, this weather, it's not great, but it could be a lot worse too. You know, and it was worse in the first game.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean.
1000%.
So and I think that Western New York Maritime it seems to be more built for this time of the year than a team like Iroquois. Now, obviously, there's a whole half to play, and that can change, obviously. But I think they've only attempted 2 passes. I think in the last 2 passes of the half, I believe, when they kind of forced to. But they just put their hand on the ground and they're punching them right in the face, and they are running it down their throat.
Yeah, put their big boy britches on and really got to work. And big shout out to the offensive line. They've gotten a ton of movement. And the one thing I really noticed about the Maritime rushing attack today is, everything is really bunched up, but a lot of it is to get those guys on the outside, create a scrum in the middle, and then get those guys to the edges and let magic happen.
Well, they have that power eye offense. But someone, thankfully, a commenter pointed this out. I was confused, wasn't sure the name of one of their formations was their power eye, and they had Copeland on the side of it, and they were able to use that kind of as like a sweep play for him. And he had 2 blockers, and that's how they were able to get him on the outside. And if I'm not mistaken, this field is much wider than what these guys are used to playing in high school. So that works out well for a guy like Copeland. He has plenty of room on the edge to get to the outside and cut a big one. We have some time left in the half, so I'm going to ask Adam this. Last night, Christian Lewis of St. Mary's set the speaking of records, set the single season record for rushing yards in Monsignor Martin. I forget that number. He broke the record by just a few yards. I forget what the final number was.
21. I'm not sure exactly how many yards he had. I think the record was 21:41, if I'm not mistaken, was the previous record. I think he finished with 21:47, 21:48. Just barely got it. It was their last offensive play, a 17-yard touchdown, broke it. So yeah, just barely got it. So yeah, shout out Christian. Congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment.
Especially coming from a league that has had Akeel Lynch, has had
that's who we beat. Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those, Nigel Davis, all these great backs who have come through. Nick
and
Valone.
They played at the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So shout out to Christian.
And you know what? And St. Mary's had a fantastic season overall. They took care of business against Bishop Timon and Cardinal O'Hara, and just had that offense. I remember early in the season seeing the scores they were putting up and being a little shocked. I'm like, wow, St. Mary's really has it. And I'm seeing the stats coming out there. This Christian Lewis kid might be the real deal. Turns out he is. He gets that record. Speaking of Monsignor Martin, coming up in just over an hour, 6 o'clock kickoff over at St. Francis. We'll bring you that Monsignor Martin Class A championship. Of course, St. Mary's won the Class B last night. Class A championship, St. Francis Canisius, 6 o'clock. Jack Cruiser will be on the call for that one. That should be very good. And I found out earlier, it's Jerry Smith's birthday.
Really? Wow.
So happy birthday to him. We'll see if the Red Raiders can give him a nice birthday present tonight in the form of a Monsignor Martin title and a trip to the Catholic State Championship, which I think will be in Long Island. I remember the last time it was played, Canisius won, obviously before the pandemic, and it was at Canisius. They beat, I believe, Cardinal Hayes. I think that was the one. The McMillan went up and got the You Got Mossed. He got on ESPN with Randy Moss, so that was pretty cool. So I imagine they'll be in Long Island, but I don't know that for sure, whoever wins that Canisius for any game. And of course, that one was a thriller. If any of you guys caught it, that regular season, absolute thriller. Both teams back and forth going overtime. The kid from Franny's hits a 45-yard field goal to tie. You don't see that in high school. 45 to tie, and
you don't even see the attempts.
Yeah, that's right.
Seriously, that's so true. Yeah, Canisius, and they've been, obviously one of the strongest teams in Western New York for for the better part of a decade. But to be able to transition over to Coach Gorman, I think that's an awesome thing that they've been able to keep things going, even with Coach Robbins, heading down to Florida and everything like that. So
the only bad thing about the game is they're playing at the same time that the games are here.
Right.
Well,
that's
and because
the only thing I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
I would like to go to both.
It's because they added the extra week in the section.
Right.
I think that's going to do it for us. I'm getting to note that Mark Johnson, Tim Morozek want it back. So really quick, what does Iroquois need to do? I'll turn this to Tim to get back in this game.
They need to get stops, which they have not done at all. They need to open it up and throw the kitchen sink into this point, because you're down 30-0. You have nothing to lose.
All right, thank you, Tim, for that point. All right, we're going to turn it back to the booth. You're watching our coverage of the Section 6 football semifinals. I'm told we are fully good with the computer, so this second half should be much better technical-wise. We'll turn it back to the booth. Mark Johnson, Tim Morozak on the call. Thanks for watching.
To come back into the game, and that was a difficult loss early in that second quarter. You have to think the fact that they're down by such a large margin, to not have your star running back and who's also the number one receiver for running backs in Western New York, just a huge factor, losing him early in that game, and not going to be easier without him.
And for Western New York Maritime, they're led by their running back Littleton and Boyd, and Littleton with 3 touchdowns, Boyd with a score. They're just rolling.
Yeah, and Damian Littlejohn also just putting his name on the map here. Western New York has had so many great running backs over the years, and you look at what Littlejohn's done in this first half with 3 touchdowns. He's really making himself a candidate for MVP of the entire weekend when you come to look at what he could do in the second half. And I don't expect the Falcons to lay off the gas whatsoever. This is big-time football. They have to see momentum as well, and they can't take the pedal off the metal against a difficult Iroquois defense. But so far, the defensive and offensive lines for the Falcons really have been dominant. Both sides of the ball, it's been just great play, and I expect to see the same here in the second half for them.
30-0. The Falcons out in front of the Chiefs. Will be back for second half action right after this.
Littleton. Did I? Did I?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, man.
Just 30 seconds.
I don't know who Little John is. He ain't carrying the ball.
Well, I'll correct myself on it. What's that?
All right, back here live at Highmark Stadium, the Class B championship game, Iroquois and Western New York Maritime Health Sciences, 30-0. Falcons out in front. Mark Johnson back with Tim Morozak. And what can we expect in this second half? Well, probably more of the same here from the Falcons.
Yeah, and you think about what our expectations were for the entire weekend to have closer games. I know the crew at halftime mentioned the surprise that has been the lopsided scores so far, and this game trending in that direction also. But hopefully we will see a little more competitive football, but it starts here with this first defensive stand at Iroquois. The defense is going to have to make. I want to make a quick correction. Of course, how could I mispronounce Littleton? Called him Little John. Littleton, the star of the game so far. Damian having a great game, and look for him here to start the second half as well.
Carter Payne here to kick it off for the Chiefs. So the Falcons will get the ball. Ball's in the air, and it's going to be picked up around the 15-yard line. Trying to make a move out there, and he's going to be bounced out of bounds around the 22-yard line or so. That's number 2 on that return, and that was Jameer Thomas. So,
yeah, you look at the mix of backs that have been able to contribute, and Thomas has done a nice job on special teams as well today. So right there, though, the special teams for Iroquois kick coverage was great, and hopefully they can continue that theme here and being able to stop what's been a really difficult running game for the Falcons.
So they put that ball out of bounds at the 23-yard line. So that's where Western New York Maritime Health Sciences will start their first drive at their own 23. They're up 30-0 and getting the ball here first in the second half. That's the bad news for the Chiefs. So it looks like Webster's we have to burn up a timeout right off the bat. Yeah, they do. They have to call timeout. The offense came out and didn't really know what they wanted to do there, Tim.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier in the first half. These conditions, I think, sometimes throw teams a little bit off their game plan and being able to execute and be able to communicate as well when the weather's tough like this. That could have been the case there. Still looking for a sign of Barry. We do not see him on the sideline, and we hope the young man is okay. Mark, not just offensively, but defensively, Trevor Barry with 92 tackles on the season as a sophomore. Really a tough loss on both sides of the ball.
Especially with his pass catching ability. 7 touchdowns through the air for him this year, so that's a big hit for that Chiefs offense. All right, here we go. And I believe we're going to have a different quarterback out there to start this half. On the ground off the Wildcat. And let's see, that's running there. It's pretty difficult to get those numbers up here sometimes.
Should be Addison Copeland. They've used him quite a bit as a quarterback and doing a nice job there, starting things off for the Falcons.
So Copeland running primarily out of the Wildcat for most of the season when he's been back there. As Maurice Webster is on the bench. I think Webster and Copeland both came out at the same time. Copeland's going to keep it again. Copeland tries to bounce the outside. If he gets the outside, look out. And they bring him down after a short gain there, about 2 or 3 yards. And that'll bring up third down and a long one here. Let's see.
Nice stop there by Parker Pasecki, the senior defensive lineman.
Call it 3rd and 2 here for the Falcons.
You can see Copeland, though, has the elusive moves and dealt with that shoulder injury early in the season, but coming back nice and contributing with a touchdown in every game he's played in so far this year.
So Webster comes back in a game under center here for the Falcons on a 3rd and 2. The snap and the give. And through the left side is Boyd. He had a chance to break one. He knows it. And he'll pick up enough yardage for first down as one of the Chiefs slow to get up. I believe that's Sullivan.
Mark, I think that may have been Littleton there. tough to see with the numbers from this angle, but
and you're getting a glare from the lights too here, so it's a little difficult for us. But
whoever it was, though, was pounding the fist on the turf, knowing that they had some momentum and ability to break it further.
so it's first down and 10 for the Falcons at their own 40, and Littleton will get the carry. There he goes as he was tripped up coming across the 45-yard line, or he had some daylight.
Yeah, good shoestring tackle there.
We know 28 come up and got him. It's Archipane.
And that tackle was by Tommy McConnelty, who's filled in for Barry at backfield, also contributing now on defense.
Second down and 2. And the give once again. Littleton bangs away and picks up the first down. Just keeps his head going. He's still driving forward here. They're letting him go. Oh, what a push that was. They stopped him back at the, looked like the 46-yard line, Tim, and he ended up taking it to the 40.
Love to see that extra effort, and it's a team effort there when he had his linemen helping him along the way, giving him that extra push. But goes back to what I mentioned here in the first half is how quick they're hitting the holes. The line's paving the way, but these backs for the Falcons are getting to the hole with efficiency in these conditions. I'm impressed. I think, it shouldn't go without being said. This is difficult traction, but they're not showing it here so far.
A quarterback keeper, Webster, picks up another 5. He saw something up front and decided to take it himself.
And it's a methodical drive so far for the Falcons, and they're doing just what they need to do. Kill clock, get this game, more out of check for the score. There's a substitution, late substitution.
Well, it looked like he was running in and then running back out. That was Ethan Karch. Karch just got caught going in for the wrong man there, and he had to come back out. That's about the fastest running we've seen any of the Chiefs done today. 2nd and 5 here. The Falcons looking to add on to this lead.
See, there's no hurry in terms of getting these plays off right now.
Plenty of time left on the play clock, but they're going to hand it off anyway. And that's Boyd, and Boyd's going to pick up another first down as he crossed the 30-yard line.
Mark, I love seeing the gang tackling there by Iroquois. They're showing tons of heart. They're not playing as if they're down by 30 points, but they've got a tough hill to climb, but that defense is really trying to hang tough here on this drive.
What they really need, Tim, right now is a turnover. They got to punch a ball out, get a fumble, something to try to turn this momentum around in this ball game, because the Falcons are just driving this ball down the field with ease. 1st and 10 from the 30. And it's Boyd to the outside. Boyd makes a move. Boyd stays on his feet, goes to the end zone. Touchdown, Maritime.
There may be a flag on the play. I think they're going to call a hold. It looked like the one receiver for Maritime had his hands in the air as though, but I don't
see any flags on the field. Of course, they're tough to pick out today. I believe they're going to count it. And they do.
Count it. It did look, the body language on the receiver looked as though he was going to get called for the hold, and very surprising there. Nice block, though, nonetheless, and once again, big run.
That's 2 for Boyd here tonight as they go for 2. And going up the middle and getting the 2 points himself is Maurice Webster, the quarterback.
Nice play fake there. Addison Copeland making it look as though he was getting the snap, and Webster doing the work as the Falcons take a sizable advantage here, 38-0, 7:27 to go in the second half, third quarter here on Western New York Athletics. Mark, we knew coming into today this might have been the game of the day. Of course, we've got another great game on tap tonight with Bennett and Lancaster in a rematch. Those two teams faced each other here at Highmark just a couple years ago, so that should be a great one. But coming into this game, man, we thought it was going to be a lot closer, especially when you look at what happened last year in the finals, going into double overtime. Certainly unpredictable, some of these games this weekend.
Well, that's for sure, but let's face facts here. 4 games in, and they've all been blowouts. 38-0 here. Falcons to kick it off. Waits for the official signal. Now it comes toward the ball. And it's an end-over-end kickoff taken by Sullivan at the 20. 25, 30, 35 out to around the 35-yard line. He's dropped. Looks like another player might be down there for the Chiefs. Right at the 40-yard line. Slow to get up there. And that's number 17, Andrew Tabuco. And he appears to be okay.
Some heavy hitting on the special teams, and Maritime Health Sciences making the Chiefs work for all that yards, but decent field position here to start the drive.
21-yard return there for Iroquois. So it's 1st and 10, Iroquois at the 39-yard line. There Cleats gets the low snap out of the shotgun, looks, throws, and had his man there. That was Kendall Maricher, and boy, he stretched out for that one. Tim just couldn't bring it in.
Yeah, and for Clyde's just not a perfect type of game to throw the ball in, and for Western New York's third leading passer in yardage, been very difficult for him to find any kind of ground to gain through the air today.
2nd and 10 now. Cleats is going to pitch it out. And it's McYalte. McYalte has crossed midfield, and that's going to be a first down for the Chiefs. So a little spark of bright light there for Tommy McYalte.
Yeah, McNulty came into the game with 32 carries, 223 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So definitely a nice contributor, and put into the limelight when that injury to Barry took place in the second quarter. And you really hope to see Barry back in this game, but at this point in the venture, it does not look to be happening.
In fact, he's not even on the bench, so safe to say he's out of this ball game. 1st and 10. Cleats now is going to have to try to run, throw, and that should be grounding. Let's see. There was no one over there within 15 yards of that ball, and an incompletion, and I think he might have got away with one there.
And I like what I see right there by the senior quarterback who's been the leader, the bit of encouragement to his teammates. He's been selfless all year, and he's just one of the best leaders, also all Western New York basketball player, but you could see him trying to keep his team engaged and motivated in what's been a very difficult game so far.
It looks like David Wright, the linebacker for Western New York Maritime, lost his helmet on the play, was starting to walk back to the bench, Tim, and went to 2 knees down there around the 41-yard line. Or is that 58? It might be Rashawn Brown. Check that. And he's being helped off the field. He lost his helmet. Either way, he's got to come out for a play, but he's hurt.
Yeah, you hope that he is okay, and keep an eye on that progress. Hopefully he can make it back into the game. But you've seen some difficult injuries now for both teams, and this weather certainly isn't easy to play in. When you get an injury, it's that much more difficult to recover when it's cold like this.
And 2nd down and 10 now for the Chiefs. Cleats takes the snap. Has another great pass there, right on the money. And McGoldrick is one of his favorite targets. Couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, Nate McGoldrick, one of the leading tight ends in Western New York, who also contributes on defense in a big way. But McGoldrick, 3rd in Western New York in receiving yards coming into today, 854, averaging about 20 yards a catch, but not a factor so far.
McGoldrick with 16 touchdowns this year on a fantastic season. They could not haul that one in, so it's 3rd and 10 here. Cleats calling an audible. It looks like he's got 3 receivers out to the right side. Gets the snap. He's going to try to run it himself. He's running out of room. He throws right to the middle field. It's caught. And it looks like it's McAultrey. And check that. No, that's McGoldrick. So he hooks up with McGoldrick. Goes right back to him.
And that's great to see that.
And he's hurt. He's shaking up a little bit. They're laying the lumber out there, Tim.
Yeah, the big man, 190, 6'3". He looks like he's going to be able to stay on the field, but you're right. He's favoring that right
Right
like
arm,
wrist area.
Yeah. 1st and 10, Iroquois.
Great to see that connection there.
Ball on the 29-yard line. Back to pass. Looks, another low throw. And Marger could not come up with that one as the ball hits the ground.
Yeah, David Wright was in the middle linebacker position and doing a nice job creating some havoc in the lane. And Kleitz had to look around and, as a result, couldn't really feather that pass. Defense has been strong throughout this game for the Falcons. We've talked about the offense with Littleton leading the way, but this defense has really shut out what's been a huge, potent offense of Iroquois all year.
On the ground, and there's I believe, did a flag come down?
I want to say it looked like it came from the far side, and it indeed did.
Offsides against Western New York Maritime, so that's going to cost them 5. Make it a 2nd down play and 5 to go.
That last reception by McGoldrick, though, Mark, I believe that was only Kleitz's 2nd completion of the game. From my, he hasn't had many completions. Of course, he's had a couple drops, a couple overthrows, and you and I had a chance. We were kind of talking before the game what kind of passing attack, if any, Iroquois would have. I really thought they would definitely be able to make some connections, but it's proven difficult. And part of that goes to the secondary doing a great job, the defensive line putting a lot of pressure on Kleitz, but it hasn't been easy to throw in these conditions or catch the ball as well.
So Kleitz back in the shotgun, an empty backfield with 3 men out to the right side. Back to pass. He's looking left. He throws it up in the air and some contact down there, but he overthrew his man. And once again, that was Tommy McNulty with the intended receiver over his head, incomplete.
Have to go back to the dominance that this Western New York Maritime Health Sciences program has had in Class B. Last year, finished 6-1. Their only loss was to St. Francis. 2019 finished 10-2 with a loss to Canisius, and then they lost to Chenango Forks by a score of 41-20 in the regionals. But they have been on a steamroll here in Class B, and it looks to be on a continuation tonight.
They give up the middle, McNulty, and he picked up a couple of yards there, so that's going to bring down 4th down and about 3 or so. So if there's one last gasp here left in this Iroquois Chief team, they got to do something with it right now.
Yeah, and with 5 minutes, 10 seconds and counting here in the 3rd quarter, a touchdown would just be gigantic for confidence and a little momentum, and making this a competitive second half is the best thing that they can look for. And this would be huge for them to be able to put the ball, at least convert here on this first 4th down.
So Cleaves back to pass. Looks, he's going to throw. He's got his man in the end zone. And it was tipped at the last second. I believe Boyd got his hand up on it. What a great defensive play there. And they're going to turn it over on downs.
Yeah, that was impressive defense. Once again, the secondary just on the receivers like glue today. And Boyd having a great game offensively on the ground and now defensively making a huge play. Were you a little surprised by the play call there to go deep when they just needed a few yards to continue that drive?
Well, definitely. I mean, I thought for sure they would try something maybe over the middle. Instead, Cleats went to the end zone and had his man there. That was the intended receiver, Nate Blair, but what a play by Boyd. So Western Maritime Health Sciences gets it back with the ball at the 23-yard line, 1st and 10, and back to the ground they go. Littleton, and Littleton's got some speed outside. He makes a nice move, cuts back over midfield, 45, 40, 35 down the sideline, and pushed out of bounds around the 34-yard line.
Mark, we've talked about the offensive line getting the job done, the running backs, but I have to say a lot of these receivers are really making some nice blocks on the edge and allowing Littleton and Boyd to find that corner with ease and find some space along the way. And once again, great blocking by the receivers on that play.
A long run there and a 1st and 10 for this Falcons team that just will not stop on the ground. Webster hands it off once again. And slashing through and picking up another 8 or 9 yards. I believe that was number 2, Thomas.
it's like a wave of blue on every running play, and they just continue to swarm, and they churn yards when it looks like they're going to be down, but they keep those legs grinding. And, you know, credit for the line and the running backs both getting it done today, just really chewing up yardage in this second half, not really needing to show a ton of flair, but they've just been really eating clock up and taking yards along the way.
Jameer Thomas, the running back there that went to the bench very slowly, so he's a little bit hobbled. 2nd down and 1. They try the sweep play to Copeland. Copeland makes a move, cuts over to 20, 15, down to 10 inside, and there's another marker coming down. It could be a face mask down there.
It looked like it possibly was a horse collar kind of tackle. It was in that questionable area. Number 50 with the tackle, Matt Mercurio.
Let's wait for the call here. Boys, Copeland on dry grass, artificial turf, it doesn't matter. He's fast.
Well, we know that Copeland scored in every game he's played. He has yet to score today. So actually that call is going against Maritime Health Sciences. So take that one back.
That's their 7th penalty this afternoon. That's a holding call. So bring it back from the spot, and then it still ends up at 2nd round and 1 here. It's all that for nothing, basically. Webster under center once again. They're probably going to give it to Littleton, and they do. Littleton bangs away and gets over into the corner. There he goes to the corner. 5, touchdown, as he held up a little bit there. Another touchdown for the Falcons. They're laying it on him now.
Make it 4 for the big man, Damian Littleton, with a game to remember. And you can hear the boo birds coming out. But, Mark, you have to – football is a game where you have to be able to play. There is a flag on the play,
Maybe
so we'll see. That could be why the boo birds are out. But
I thought because he held up before he went in the end zone with a little taunt type
call
of
that
move.
one back.
Yeah, they're bringing it back.
Holding against Maritime Health Science, Western New York Maritime Health Sciences.
So they pick up their 8th flag of the small game. That was a nice run, though, by Littleton. You can see, and you're right, he runs a little bit like Marshawn Lawrence and a little bit of Derrick Henry there.
Yeah, he has power, speed. He hits the hole with crazy effectiveness.
Marshawn Lynch, excuse me. And now it's Boyd on the ground. Boyd tries to get around the corner, and he does. Boyd picks up the 1st down. What a great run there. They had him in the backfield, Tim, but he pulled away from him and got the 1st.
They've been running at will, and it's not as though this Iroquois defense is they have never given up more than 20 points on a game this year, really. So I think they had a game where they gave up 22, but this is a defense that's really held teams in check. But having Fitz right now, the Western New York Maritime Health Sciences offense has just been a complete domination so far.
1st and 10 from the Chiefs' 20-yard line. And the quarter ticks around under the 2-minute mark here. And before the play, a whistle, and it is a illegal substitution, I believe. No.
Chance of throw the ball, I believe, going on in the stands, and I don't think we're going to see much of that so far here, but the running game has been all they've needed so far today.
No penalty flag thrown, so they're going to hand it off instead on the ground once again. And that's a new running back out there. Number 10, Marcus Miller. So Marquise Miller with a nice run there.
Yeah, the junior's seeing a little action, and why not? Getting some experience is great right now. Coach Parker, he does a nice job in the community, just putting a lot of time in. He also is a big part of the Corey Graham Sports Elite Sports Academy, serves as director, and I'm sure he's had familiarity with these young men for quite some years.
Littleton bangs away right to the end zone. Touchdown. They're not going to call this one back. Another touchdown for Mr. Littleton. 4 TDs on the day.
And it's been a day to remember, no doubt. It's continuation of what they did in the first half, running the ball at will, and the Falcons have been able to just execute without really turning the ball over either. You have to give them a lot of credit of how they've held on to the ball today. Tough conditions, and those running backs have really protected the ball well.
They sure have. 44-0, going for two. Once again, it's Boyd, and he scores. Basically walked in the end zone for the 2-point conversion. And with 1:01 left in this third quarter, 46-0 our score here on this Class B championship game. And what a ball game offensively for this Falcons club.
And once again, looks like they will take on the winner. I think it's almost safe to say we've got 46-0, minute and 1 second left in the third. They're going to be looking at the winner of Honey Eye Falls Lima, who's taking on Batavia. So that game at 6 o'clock tonight out in the Rochester area.
And of course, our next game will be shown live here on Western New York Athletics. So it's Clarence and Lancaster for the AA championship at the 6:30 kickoff. And you can see it live right here on westernnewyorkathletics.com.
And Mark, how about the other matchup that's going to be taking place almost simultaneously with St. Francis taking on Canisius in a rematch of what was one of the best games in Western New York this year?
On the kickoff and taking on the run. And that's McGoldrick. And McGoldrick gets out to about the 38-yard line. 14 yards on that return. But if you're Iroquois right now, I don't know what you want to do, but I got to tell you, you're down 46-0, and there's only one player that really matters right now, and that's Trey Cleats trying to get that record, but he hasn't been able to throw, and they haven't been able to run very well either.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple moments there in that last drive where they did move the ball down and just came up a little short, but I like the fact that they were able to move the ball a little bit more in that drive.
Cleats back to pass, looks, he's going to throw it on far sideline, has his man caught there, and on the run is McGoldrick. McGoldrick spins down around the 26-yard line. A nice pass and catch there. Beautiful play as Cleats rolled out to the right, Tim, and found his man.
Yeah, great to see a little bit of success there for the quarterback who's had a tough day, no question about it, and being able to connect with his main man, McGoldrick. It's great to see now both this series here to start it out, and they started that connection last series. So unfortunately, just a little bit too late in the game, but it will be great to see if Iroquois can find a way to put a little mark on this and get rid of that goose egg.
As this clock winds down now, down to 15 seconds left in this third quarter. You got to hurry to try to get another playoff here. The game clock is 2 seconds behind the play clock. Cleats trying to draw him off sides. I don't know if they're going to get a playoff. They do. Cleats back to pass. Now he's going to run. There he goes. He's going to throw in the end zone. Has his man back there. Touchdown. Tyler Muskoff catches it, hit right at the buzzer at the end of the third quarter. And Iroquois on the board.
Mark, I believe that was Pete Gaglio coming down with that, or excuse me.
I think it was number 10 here.
Yep, Tyler Muskoff. Good call. Tough to see from that angle, but great to see a touchdown for Iroquois. They really worked hard to move the ball against this Maritime defense.
So they're going to go for two here, I believe. The junior Muskoff with a nice grab in the back end part of the end zone. Cleats waits for the snap, going for two. Looks, going to throw it back over again. Oh, and he overthrows his man over there. And that was McGoldrick. And we're going to send it down to Sarah Holland now for a sideline report. Sarah?
It's the end of the third quarter here at Highmark Stadium. I'm Sarah Holland, and the Maritime Falcons lead by a score of 46-6. This game has been controlled by the Falcons as they've been able to keep the Chiefs from scoring just one touchdown. With 12 minutes left remaining in the game, we're going to see if the Falcons can lift their third straight sectional championship. Mark and Tim, back to you.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Well, 46-6, but the Chiefs are on the board, and that's all that matters if you're an Iroquois fan.
And great work by Sarah this afternoon. She got caught in the heat of that storm, the mix of that storm. Definitely working her tail off today, and just a nice job, and great to bring you sideline reports. And so far today, though, the reports are all Western New York Maritime. It's been just a dominant performance, but a great time to see Iroquois get back on the board, get on the board, I should say, and be able to muster up some confidence. And that's a great boost for morale. You know, you look at some of these kids are seniors, and that you don't want to go away from this game with a goose egg as a senior, you know, to be able to at least put a little bit of points down. And now let's not forget, Clyte's 1 touchdown away from tying the record.
Now kickoff and on the run here, right out to the 45-yard line. Nice return there, 24 yards on that return. And number 17, Demetrius Payne on that return. And now we got another player down around the 37-yard line, slow to get to his feet. It's Copeland, I believe. Well, they don't need to lose him with a big ball game coming up next week. He appears to be okay.
Mark, correction. He just tied the record with that touchdown, and now he has a chance to break the record. So that was a Western New York tying touchdown. He ties Cole Snyder of Southwestern, who had 37 touchdowns back in 2018. Snyder now with Rutgers. So we could see history in the making with 11:53 to go. Very good chance of it.
Webster hands it off. First man through, it's Copeland. He's got tremendous speed, gets to the outside. Copeland, 20, 15, 10. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Western New York Maritime. Health Sciences comes right back. What a beautiful play, a 55-yard scamper.
It's really amazing how much athleticism this team has. You could see multiple guys getting it done today. Now Copeland adding his name to the touchdown mix. It is just unbelievable what the Health Sciences, Western New York Maritime Health Sciences team has been able to do at will, really. Being able to score, executing the running game with relative ease.
Addison Copeland turned on the Jets, and the rest was history as they're going for 2. Western New York Maritime joins the 50-plus club here today. And they punch one up through the middle, and they convert it. So with 11:42 remaining, they're up 54-6 here at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, you mentioned their first year of their program. They matched up against the A schools. They were 2-6 that year. They lost to South Park, Will South, West Seneca East, Amherst, amongst many of those teams. But they've really turned it around since that time. And with Ty Parker taking over now in his 3rd year, pitching a perfect shutout in Class B, and what a response. I mean, they dealt with their first adversity, giving up a touchdown there, Mark, but responded with in no time.
So that's Littleton with 3 touchdowns, Boyd with a pair, and now Copeland with a nice long run.
Coming into this game, Iroquois was the #1 ranked small school in the Buffalo News, and Western New York Maritime was ranked 4th. So that could have been some bulletin board fodder, as Frank Wolf likes to say. You give them bulletin board material, and you have to wonder if that was a little bit of a motivating factor for them. But they have the superior team on the field, no doubt.
And the kickoff now. And, goes through the hands. It's going to be settling down the 2-yard line. He's going to have to pick it up. They're all over him down there. He tries to make a move. He fumbles the ball, and it goes back to Western New York Maritime. They recovered it down on the 8-yard line. How about that? Trying to make a play there.
Yeah, and right away, Tommy McNulty had difficulty handling the ball. And once he did have a handle on it, not a secure handle, and credit to that special teams, that kick coverage for Western New York Maritime Health Science has been strong all day, and their aggressiveness paid off there.
Don't forget to stay with us live here as we bring you Lancaster and Bennett, the Class AA battle, 6:30 kickoff. 2 big heavyweights going to close out this weekend of action here. But right now, Western New York Maritime has a chance to join the 60 club as they're looking to put some more points on the board. Ball at the 8-yard line, 1st and goal to goal from the 8. Webster as they're looking, got Boyd in the backfield, and I believe it's number 2 back there with him. And the give is to Thomas, and they're going to wrestle Thomas down and drop him for a 5-yard loss. There's a nice play there.
Yeah, and you can see the quarterback had a little bit of difficulty handling that as well, and nice job by Remy Sullivan with the tackle. But that ball has been really a fickle type of
The slippery
handle on it.
The slippery pigskin, as my dad used to say back in the day.
No doubt about it. And that's where you have to, again, go back to the ball control and the ball protection for the backfield of Western New York Maritime Health Sciences. They've done a phenomenal job holding on to that ball today.
The give and through, I believe that was number 10 once again, Miller. That was number 10. They're changing running backs on us left and right here, Tim.
Yeah,
running backs. No, it might not have been him, Tim. It could have been Darrell Lewis, the sophomore, number 15. It could have been Darrell
and that experience that some of these young men are being able to get with the score being basically out of hand is great opportunity and memories they'll be able to live on and tell their kids and grandkids, you know, got to carry at the Ralph or Highmark or
Rich
Ralph
Stadium.
Wilson, whichever you want to call it.
The give once again, that's number 11 running through. That's Daquan Leonard, I believe, and the junior, who usually plays wide receiver. He was in the backfield. I thought they were going to try maybe a wildcat type move. So it's 3rd down now. I actually checked that. 4th down and goal to go from the 6 here. So the Chiefs, after a special teams error, might play a little defense here and shut them down and see if they can.
Yeah, you can see Ty Parker going with his backups here, trying to just see if one of them can find that special moment hitting the pay dirt.
On the ground, the carry and the touchdown. Yes, they score. Again, another score, and I'm trying to see who that was. There's a 2 on there.
Well, Mark, whoever it is, he's swimming down the sideline and ecstatic, no doubt. Just that ability for no matter who's in the backfield right now for Western New York Maritime Health Sciences, it's proven to be a successful spot. Having a position, carrying the ball has really worked out well. And you got to think this Western New York Maritime team has a good chance making a solid run to the state title. Tonight puts the rest of the state on notice.
You got that right. Here's a 2-point conversion, and running it in easily was Foster. Amani Foster runs it in, and it's 62-6. Never mind the 50 club. Join the 60 club here at Highmark.
Yeah, and it's been just one touchdown after another for Maritime Health Sciences. They've been able to execute on the ground. Only thrown, I think, 2 passes all day. One was a 2-point conversion attempt, but you know it's been all ground game. And what's interesting is you look at the Iroquois defense; they really don't play many guys in the secondary. It's basically a front line, and then you're basically looking at strong safeties coming up and you're playing that linebacker position. But you have to wonder maybe a safety wouldn't have been a bad idea today in terms of just trying to relegate some of those big gains.
We'll get ready for another kickoff here, and believe it or not, if somehow they can score again, they got a chance for 70 points. They got a chance, and that would equal Bennett's mark from last week. And that would equal out there hobbling for the Chiefs. Is Bordekin, number 20. The Chiefs. And the ball's going to come flying in and taken at the 20-yard line. 25, 30, 35. There's a chance here. McGoldrick brings it out to about the 47-yard line. Nice 27-yard return by the tight end.
Nice tackle there. Touchdown saving tackle, most likely. I have him listed on the roster as it looks like 23. I don't see a 23 here on our roster.
That would be the kicker, and we do not have his kicker number on our roster. We do not have his
McGoldrick
number on
almost breaking that, and now could we see record touchdown pass here in the makings?
We'll find out here. 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line. Trips out to the right, and now a timeout called by Western New York Maritime. With 8:36 here remaining. with
You have
8:36
to
here
love
remaining.
Kleitz when he talks about the opportunity. We're going to bring it back. We'll catch that thought in a moment. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching live action here at Highmark on Western New York Athletics.
Live action here at Highmark on Western New York Athletics.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.
All right, back live action here. 1st and 10 for Iroquois. All right, back live action. As Trey Kleitz is going to try to break the all-time Western New York record here. He's tied it with 36 touchdown passes. Back to pass. Looks, he's going to launch one right off the bat. Has his man down there. Oh, he's going to launch one right off the bat. Has his man down there. Oh, and goes cut off on his route. Number 7, Kendall Nurture.
And Kleitz has aired it out many a time today, but not too much success. And he did have that big gain last series and looking to capitalize on it. Nice pass defense there. It looks like a Marion McMiller.
Back to pass again. Kleitz looks. Now he's going to roll to the right. Back to pass again. Trying to find his man down the sideline. Has him. And that's Nate Blair. Find his man down the sideline. Nate Blair with a nice catch. And that's Nate Blair. Down around the 32-yard line or so. Down around the.
Yeah, Blair's had a nice season so far. Also makes his 20th catch of the season. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got 7 minutes 40 seconds left to go in this game, and could see that touchdown happening here on this drive.
It's 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. It's 1st and 10. Chiefs again on the move here, trying to break a record. Kleitz, the senior, looks. He's got plenty of time. Looking. He's going to run it now. He's going to say with it. Kleitz is going to go to the end zone himself. Touchdown. Kleitz is going to go to the end zone himself. Touchdown. He drew the entire defense away from him. Suckered him in and then ran it right down and ran it in, Tim.
I love the fact that he was able to see that, and that shows great vision by the quarterback to make that adjustment. Of course, I think the defense was looking to see a pass there and threw him off guard, and just like that, 2 scores in their last 2 drives. Iroquois not going away quietly.
Fulker hobbles off for the Maritime. Right now, you don't want to pick up any injuries. You're going to the next round here against the Section 5 champion next Saturday. So, every little injury will count right now against you. They're going for 2 here. Low snap. Kleitz now rolls to the right. Rolling, looking, throws, puts it up in the air, up for grabs. And he wanted Blair again in the back of the end zone, and it's incomplete.
Kleitz slow to get up. He took a massive hit right there by Aaron Woods-Bailey, the sophomore defensive lineman. Really swallowed up Kleitz there. And
he's a tough kid, though.
Good to see him get up. Definitely going to shake that one off. But the hitting's been pretty significant throughout this game.
All right, what do we got coming up next, Tim?
Well, we've got a big game. That's the Class AA championship. They save a lot. They say they save the best for last a lot, and that could very well be one of the closest games going into that. We know the first time those 2 teams matched up, Mark, Bennett scored 24 points, I want to say, in the first 6-7 minutes of that game. Lancaster clawed their way back to tie it early in the 3rd quarter, and then, they basically just had a situation where they gave up a lot of points in the last minute of the game, but that game was much closer than the final score indicated, and we know that Lancaster team very well, and we also know that McDuffie is very confident in his group, so should no doubt be a great matchup coming into tonight, and that's going to be right after this broadcast. We're going to go back to our post-game show with Frank Wolf and his crew, and after that, we'll be back on the air here at Highmark.
All right, here's an onside kick attempt now. That ball's placed weirdly on the tee here. It's kicked down low and squibs, and it's free, and they're going to come up with it. I believe they do. Iroquois comes up with the onside kick at the 48-yard line. That was beautifully executed. came off of one of the Falcons on a weird bounce, and one of the Chiefs jumped on it and recovered it. And I believe that was the kicker that recovered that.
Yeah, that's just a great job, catching a team a little bit off guard there. Tough one to handle, no doubt, but give credit to Iroquois. They're now with a chance to make it 3 possessions and 3 scores.
Well, Trey Kleitz comes back out on the field. A chance to break the all-time Western New York record. He's trying to give Maritime the jump off sides right away. They didn't bite. Now he gets the snap. Back the pass. He's got protection. Throws. Oh, and it was almost intercepted right in and out of the hands of number 25, Tariq Green.
Yeah, the junior linebacker had it. And you could see he's a little bit disappointed, to say the least.
Oh, he is. He's shaking his hands. He can't believe he dropped it. The ball was right in his hands. Couldn't hang on to it. You're talking about that AA contest coming up. Don't forget, Eric Rupp, his 6th season with the Lancaster Legends. He's going after his 6th straight Section 6 championship. It's just an unbelievable story. We'll touch on that if we get a couple minutes here with 6:15 left. 2nd down for the Chiefs. Can Trey Kleitz do it? Can he break the all-time record? And now a timeout taken by Iroquois. And I think we're going to keep it right here. We can take a break.
Yeah, Mark, you mentioned about how the 6 years, 6 possible championships, that would tie the record with John Fowler of Sweet Home. And the late John Fowler, one of the most remarkable men for Section 6, one of the many important figures throughout the history. And that's some remarkable company he could be entering into.
Eric Rupp, what a job he's done with Lancaster over the last 5-6 seasons. Took a team and turned them into champions, not 1, not twice, but 5 times in a row. And they've got a chance to do it again. And you know, with these field conditions, as slippery as they are, and as good as the athletic team and the prowess is of Dave Manziel's defense for Lancaster, you just never know what the football gods are going to dial up.
No, and those two are familiar foes. They definitely always have close matches, and they battled last time here, and of course Lancaster victorious, but no doubt Bennett's got revenge on their mind to win a Section 6 title and take away that streak.
Back to pass. Kleitz again rolls to the right. Looks. He has McGoldrick. McGoldrick pushes off his man, and then there's more contact down there. And Nate got away with one. He pushed off his defender to get some space there.
And Murray Dragagafried, really nice job there, the sophomore. You know, we've mentioned a lot of underclassmen on this Falcon team contributing, and you could see they've got a nice mix of seniors and underclassmen that are really stepping up throughout this game and throughout the season for that matter.
3rd and 10 now for the Chiefs. Of course, he might come right back to McGoldrick again. And after McGoldrick dropped that pass there, Kleitz ran all the way down the field to tap him on the helmet. Back to pass again. Kleitz knows what's up. He's on the run. He's looking, and he's going to dump it across the middle, and it's incomplete. Marocher was the intended receiver, number 7, so it's going to be ringing up 4th down, Tim.
Yeah, and with 5 minutes to go, you have to wonder if this time is ticking for this possibility to break the record with Kleitz being able to hopefully convert on this 4th down for his chances at reaching history today. But even if not, to tie the record tonight, just a remarkable season and a way to go out. Happy to see him connect for a touchdown in this game after struggling for such a long time. They could not pass whatsoever in the first half. Really not much here else in the second half, but they did find some success here in the 4th quarter, being able to move the ball through the air.
Well, the refs let that clock run, and we're down to 4:20 and running here. 4th down, this is it. Back the pass, looks, Kleitz swings, throws, and he overthrows his man. Pass intended for Archaeopane, and that's how it's going to end here, at least on this series.
It looks like maybe, thought that might have been Alex Miller, but could have been Archaeopane. Well, Mark, we had a chance to have Jay Seriani in the last game, interviewed at halftime, the Section 6 chair, and we had a chance to talk about the history of this game being played here at Highmark, and unofficially, believe it goes back to 1979. And there's been some major athletes coming through. Don Mikowski, we looked through his records recently, and this weekend, you never know which one of these players is going to go on to the next level and then the level after that. But Western New York does not get the credit it deserves when it comes to representation in NFL ranks and then having an impact in college. You look at the amount of talent that's come through this area, and you could see when they get to the stadium, some of the cream of the crop. And this weekend we've had the likes of Jalen Brutera at running back. Of course, Littleton here today, Xander Hind. Just the names go on. Just great talent, and it'll be interesting and looking at how these young men progress throughout their careers and also in life after this game. Being here, having the success really works off the field as well. You've reached success as a team. I can speak on the opposite side, even though my team never really had that kind of success. My brother made it here playing Jamestown when the Lockport Lions had great rivalries against them, and just watching how that transformed a team and a player and an individual. A lot of times it correlates to off-field success, and that's the beauty of sports. Even in losing, there's a lot to be gained, and a lot of these young men are going to feel the pain, no doubt, tonight. Some of these teams going away getting crushed by handy margins, but they'll look back on these seasons and their careers in high school and have nothing but great memories.
And Timmy, you went through some of your sports memorabilia, and you brought in a program from 1980 here at Rich Stadium. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Near mint condition.
Near mint condition. Here we go, 1st and 10. And on the game, they fumbled a snap. Did Iroquois jump on it?
This may be the chance. We'll see what the call is, but it looks like they're going to stick it with Maritime Health Sciences.
That was Leonard, the playing quarterback right now, DeQuan Leonard.
Looked like it definitely could have been a chance for the Falcons to get the ball back with 3 minutes, 5 seconds and counting.
So Leonard, wearing number 11 now, he's a junior. And he's primarily a defensive back, but he's getting a shot here. Maybe coach might have promised him a couple of plays here at quarterback at an NFL stadium. So he's getting a chance here under center. Waits for the snap, gets it, hands it off. Tough carry up the middle for a couple of yards there. And they're just trying to work that clock down with 2.5 left here, Tim.
Yeah, and right now it's pretty much just running the clock and looking to get into that victory formation with time running. It's been a memorable night for Western New York Maritime Health Sciences and a night to forget, certainly, for Iroquois.
62-12 our scores. We're winding this clock down to the end of this long, tough ball game here tonight.
Just a reminder, we're going to be going back to our booth for the post-game show, so stay tuned for that.
Letting that play clock run down now and then taking the handoff from Leonard and another couple of yards. And that's number 20, I believe, Lance Shepard.
Mark, you look at the veteran leadership. We mentioned how there's a mixture of underclassmen and seniors, and you've got kids that have been on this team for 4 years, and that really bodes well when you look at a run at the state title. So Western New York Maritime Health Sciences has the goods, no doubt, to be special and really put their mark on Western New York, maybe give that school its first state title. We shall see.
As they wind this clock down here to 1:14 and running, just waiting on it now for the snap. And then finally the give. And picking up another couple of yards the hard way there. That's Monty Foster. Tim, just want to say it was great to work with you again for another season of high school football, Section 6 style. You know, we do the games for Lancaster, and it's just a great season here. It's great to have the fans back in the stands after what happened the last couple of years. But it's always a privilege to work with you. And,
it's been a blessing, no doubt, and you know, you don't take it for granted. And the fans here, they came out and supported their teams through the thick and thin of it and through difficult conditions.
Kleitz gets the ball back, a chance, looks, oh, what a hit down there. And
But
a
that
nice
looks-
play finishing off.
That looks like it was
Did he
picked
intercept?
off,
He
though.
did. He picked it off. As Leonard comes up and gets an interception, number 11.
Daquan Leonard, the junior, going out with a bang.
Wow. Want to thank our producer, Tim Gardner, who's worked effortlessly last night and all day today. We did have some technical issues. We got everything back up and running again. Stay tuned for the post-game show with Frank Wolf and the boys.
And, of course, our fans watching at home and enjoying it from the comfy confines of the couch. It's been a cold afternoon, and, you know, it's football weather. It's interesting. You get the first snowfall, and we've got our Section 6 title games. It was pretty cool to see some snow on the field, but depending on what kind of offense you had, maybe that wasn't the same feeling.
4 games in the books, and they're going to take a knee, I'm sure, right now, waiting for the snap, and they do. Victory formation for the Western New York Maritime Health Sciences Falcons, up 62-12. That's how this game is going to close out as we're into our last 30 seconds, Tim.
Yeah, once again, this team is going to take on the winner of Honey Eye Falls, Lima versus Batavia. So that game going on at 6 o'clock. Looks like they are going to snap one more down here. Up.
Some little Gatorade water bottle showers going on the other side of the field over there. That's it. This one's over. They're winding down the clock, and look at the celebration on the other side of the field. Western New York Maritime, the Falcons, going to the Western Regionals next week at Williamsville South. Who will they take on? We'll find out at the end of the night, but they're fired up right now as we're getting ready to shake hands out at midfield. One of the best parts of the game that I enjoy, Tim. I missed this from last spring. The players weren't allowed to do this, of course, with the COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
but they come out for the shaking at midfield. And
this is where it's at, the sportsmanship, and we're going to have a character athlete sponsored by Cross Training Athletics in association with Perry's Ice Cream, giving out
Picture,
to
and
a
then
player
right back
from
up for
each
the
team
pregame.
after the game. And
No,
it's a
we're
great
yeah,
way to
picture.
build
Right back up
Yeah.
for the pregame.
character programs and building these young men and awarding them for their great play on and off the field. But for Ty Parker, he's going to turn his record now to 24-5 overall. And just as a reminder, we're also going to go to Sarah, our sideline reporter. Oh, check that, maybe not. You can check, though, for her interviews after the game. They're going to be on social media through WesternNewYorkAthletics.com, at Western New York Athletics Twitter. So keep an eye on that, and you'll have multiple interviews that you can go back and watch.
Any idea who they're going to play?
Great memories for a lot of these young men today.
This is Class
Well, they
B,
used to
so
call this place Rich Stadium, and it's had a couple of names changes since then. It's right now it's Highmark Stadium, but for the Western New York Maritime Falcons, it's the place they want to play from now on. What a big game here. 62
Batavia
points tonight, Tim.
Against
Yeah, and they've
Honey-
had success playing here. And
Honey Oil.
they had a chance to play
I know
here
it's the
earlier in the
weirdest.
season. They had a
Honey
regular
Honey
season
Oil
game
Falls.
here, so
All right, stand by, guys.
familiarity with the field this year. Of course, a different field today with the icy conditions, and they were not fazed by it whatsoever. The fact that they can play football in extreme difficult conditions really bodes well as they go down the stretch for that state title.
62-12, our final score again here as we get ready for the character of the game here, cross-training character of the game. Let's see who they're going to pick out as both teams separate sides here.
Mark, we mentioned how Buffalo News had Iroquois ranked number 1, and then Western New York Maritime Health Sciences a little bit lower. Max Preps does also a ranking in New York State, and they had Western New York Maritime ranked 2nd in the state, just behind Maine Endwell. And Maine Endwell, we know they're a powerhouse over the years. They faced off against Cheektowaga in a battle, and they've always been strong. But, most likely they may end up seeing Maine Endwell should they continue that far.
You ready?
So the first award is going to go to one of the Iroquois Chiefs, and I believe that is big number 68 out there.
Quaid versus Aquinas.
Connor
That's
Curl.
too huge.
Great to see him. And
Moving
Curl,
to the
he really mentioned how playing aggressive by the whole team And to be on the same field, he was so thrilled to be on the same field with the players he watched growing up here, the Bills that he's remembered seeing on TV. Great moment for the young man to be able to receive that award. Congratulations, Connor Curl.
Yeah, is that a 6 or an 8 though?
Undefeated
It does look like 68. Yeah, it's been difficult to see the numbers, but I do believe it's 68.
I think about
sure
both
hope
awards,
so.
so it should be at least second.
Not, it's
not
Hayden Wolf.
Hayden Wolf.
And the winner for Maritime, it looks like it's number 20, and that's Lance Shepard. Number 50? 5-0, excuse me. David Wright's going to get the award for Western New York Maritime Health Sciences.
And David Wright, we know, is one of the leaders, 4-year veteran on this team, leads the team in tackles. And, you know, you didn't really not necessarily need to hear his name much tonight, but he was a large part of what went on the field today, defensively and then offensively on the line, making some big blocks.
All right, well, for Tim Gardner and Tim Rozak, I'm Mark Johnson. We're going to send it over to the post-game show with Frank Wolf and the guys. Take care, everybody.
All right, welcome in back to Highmark Stadium press box. This is the Class C championship, Class B championship post-game show. It's Maritime getting the three-peat. They win this one 62-12 over Iroquois in a rematch of last year's final. And guys, it's Maritime Health Sciences. We knew they were good, and really they really showed it tonight, beating a very good Iroquois, handling a very good Iroquois team.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it with the Medina game. Maritime was able to churn up 497 yards on the ground, quite literally passing the ball one time tonight. Just a phenomenal effort, you know, really dominating in the trenches on both sides. And also, too, you know, I talked about pregame, Trey Kleitz being held to 7-24 in the last season's sectional title game, 7-27 tonight as well.
Right, same thing. I mean, just a dominating performance from the very first drive to the very end. Littleton, 272 yards rushing, Boyd, 115, Copeland, 74 yards. You know, those guys deserve all the credit in the world, but how about the offensive line?
Yes.
I mean, they, you know, we talk about so much, you know, games won in the trenches, games won in the trenches. You know, I say it a lot. I don't know if I always mean it, but I say it, but it was so obvious that the trenches was dominated today. And not just the offensive line, but how about the defensive line that, you know, constant pressure on Kleitz. You know, Kleitz, you know, a lot of his yards that he had today were on kind of busted plays where he
off schedule.
Yeah, where he had to kind of, you know, make things happen with his feet. Congratulations to Kleitz. You know, he did tie the Western New York record for most touchdown passes in a single season. And just a great season for them. Their season, unfortunately, has come to an end, and Maritime will continue.
Yeah, they continue on. I do want to shout out Kleitz real quick. Towards the end of the quarter, they were kind of driving, and he had some open grass, and he decided to run for it himself. A lot of guys might have tried to just chuck it, or he could have went out at the 5 and set up for another play to throw it in. But that says a lot about his character, that he ran it in. He wasn't going to maybe try to get that record that way. He was just going to go in and score. We're going to wrap things up in a second, but I do want to point out in just a few moments, we're going to have live coverage of the Monsignor Martin Class A championship game between St. Francis and Canisius. That game being held at Ethanol Springs. Jack Cruiser, Paul Catrona will be on the call for that game. But here at Highmark Stadium, 4th of 5th games, it's Western New York Maritime getting the three-peat, 62-12 over Iroquois in the Class B championships. Thanks for watching our coverage of the Section 6 football championships here at Highmark Stadium.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers, we can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.